Independence. It's something that all teenagers crave, especially in those crucial years between high school and their adult years. The chance to experience the sights and sounds of people, places, and things that would normally fall outside their everyday encounters can be a powerful lure for young men and women seeking adventure. Such was the case of a teenage girl who decided to leave for a spring break getaway under false pretenses, and has tragically never returned from her journey. Next on Grim Visions, we explore the mysterious disappearance of Brittanee Drexel.
My name is of no consequence. You may call me Grim. Thousands of people go missing in our world each year. Many are never found. I am amongst the lost, and as such, I am compelled to bring you the stories of those I call the vanished. Be prepared, for these are my grim visions.
They don't really know what I'm on. Yeah, working around the clock, yeah, call me the gun. Took me 6 whole years and hundreds of songs just to show the whole world that a boy do belong. Yeah, I belong, yeah. Right my wrongs, and these songs, yeah. Hit the curve while I flip the bird. All these youngins got crazy nerve like they deserve. We're out to work, I've been schooling y'all since Vonna's birth. I've been absurd like JR in game 1. Pay attention to the score, I'm winning and you late, son. And I didn't wanna be the guy who just to say something, but it's time that you know that you ain't none. Everyone think they important, and you ain't got the sauce just cause you bought Jordans. And I'ma show you things like the route to the Lord, and careful what you do.
Spring break. In this day and age, practically an institution and culture unto itself, with its own lingo, populace, and rules. In the city of Rochester, New York, spring break is seen as a rite of passage of sorts among its teenage denizens. 17-year-old Brittanee Marie Drexel was no different. The oldest of 3 siblings, Brittanee hasn't always had the brightest outlooks on life. Described as an empathetic and compassionate young woman, Brittanee also has a troubled side to her personality. Her birth father had walked out on the family, and recently her mother and stepfather have decided to divorce. The breakup seems to take a large emotional toll on the teenager. In addition, Brittanee has suffered a lot of turmoil in her personal life as well. Her and her boyfriend, John Greco, have endured a rocky on and off relationship for a number of years. Brittanee even overdosed on her pain medication on 2 separate occasions following an emotional breakup with Greco. The months leading up to April 22, 2009 have been an up and down roller coaster for young Brittanee. With the spring break holiday rapidly approaching, she unilaterally decides that she has to get away from Rochester, her family, and her problems, if only for a few days. After pleading her case to her mother and stepfather to go on a road trip with some older friends down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, her parents flat out forbid the trip. Greco encourages her to go anyway, and Brittanee decides to heed his advice. She concocts a story about staying at a nearby friend's house for a few days, hops into a car with some others, and drives the 14 hours down to Myrtle Beach, all without her parents' knowledge. While on her trip, Brittanee makes a point of keeping constant contact with her boyfriend, mostly via text. On her first night, she reports that she's having a good time with parties, drinking, and dancing. However, Greco states that her tone changed by the second night, and Brittanee starts to feel isolated from the other people she made her trip with, in large part due to their heavy drug use. On the night of April 25, 2009, Brittanee decides to visit a mutual friend who is staying in a nearby hotel. After a short time, the young woman leaves the hotel, presumably to return to her own motel down the street. This was the last time Brittanee Marie Drexel has been seen or heard from in over 9 years. After 30 minutes of radio silence, John Greco begins to worry, as it was unusual for Brittanee to go such a long period without responding to his text messages. A few hours tick by, still with no reply, and Greco begins to fear the worst. It's at this time he decides to inform Brittanee's family of the situation, and more importantly, to finally let them in on where she has really been for the past 3 days. Greco, Brittanee's mother, and her grandparents hurriedly race down to Myrtle Beach to begin searching for the missing teen. All the while, they are continuing to call Brittanee's cell phone, and after a while, the calls go straight to voicemail. While down in Myrtle Beach, they file a missing persons report with local police and immediately launch an intensive air, ground, and water search, canvassing several miles of coastline but come up empty. The friends she traveled down with are located and swiftly questioned, however they provide little clues. They do, however, lead police to a friend Brittanee had visited the night of her disappearance. Authorities learn that this individual had suspiciously left Myrtle Beach abruptly in the early morning hours of April 26, only a few hours after Brittanee had last been seen. Police begin to aggressively pursue the young man as a potential suspect. However, he quickly obtains an attorney. Stonewalled for the moment, police then acquire surveillance footage from the motel Brittanee was last seen at. Using these surveillance tapes and footage taken from a traffic cam on the street in which Brittanee was last known to travel, investigators determined that the young woman had left her friend's hotel at about 8:48 p.m. the night of the 25th. They estimate that it should have taken no more than 15 minutes for Brittanee to make the short walk back to her hotel. However, in the span of about a quarter of an hour, Brittanee Drexel seems to have vanished off the face of the earth. Police's next avenue of investigation is the analysis of Brittanee's cell phone records. Using her phone's last satellite data, police are able to determine that the device's last tower communication was over an hour from where she was last seen in a very rural, swampy, and inhospitable area near Georgetown County. Police also determined that the cell phone itself was probably traveling in a vehicle due to its high rate of speed, as indicated by cellular tower transmissions. The area in which authorities believe Brittanee's phone was last active in is thoroughly searched, but again, nothing is found. In a further blow to the investigation, investigators' prime suspect at the time, the friend Brittanee had visited, is cleared of any involvement in her disappearance, after it is determined that he left the morning of the 26th for mundane and explainable reasons. What had appeared suspicious at first glance checks out later with further investigation, thus eliminating the young man from police radar. After exhaustive searches throughout the state of South Carolina, Brittanee's family and friends make a heart-wrenching and defeated return back to Rochester. Nearly a year after her disappearance, a telling cell phone video of Brittanee Drexel surfaces. A fellow spring breaker who had befriended Brittanee on her trip took this video clip in his hotel room only 24 hours before Brittanee went missing. The origin of the video is tracked down, and the man behind the camera is extensively questioned. However, it is determined that the individual had nothing to do with Brittanee's disappearance, and the lead proves to be just another dead end. In the years following, police have developed what they believed is a strong suspect in this man, Deshaun Taylor. In a series of interrogations, associates of Taylor's have related that the night Brittanee vanished, she was abducted by Taylor and others, driven over an hour away from Myrtle Beach, gang raped, and murdered in the swamps of Georgetown County. Despite repeated attempts to find conclusive evidence linking Taylor to the alleged murder and abduction, police have thus been unable to find a smoking gun, leaving this case still frustratingly unsolved. Perhaps we'll never really know what truly happened on the night of April 25, 2009, when a young woman so full of promise for the future was taken far before her time. Heed the warning, for this could be any one of us. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who decided to leave, just to have some fun. However, the only problem is she never came back. Did a cold-blooded gang of killers murder Brittanee Drexel? Or is it possible that she could still be out there somewhere? Her faint whispers carried on the ebb and flow of the ocean tides. As the sun sets on the parties and the fun, ghostly cries carry on the winds. And if you listen closely, you can almost make out a voice telling us to question everything and trust no one. On behalf of Grim Visions, pleasant dreams.